welcome to Live Action Star Wars. I'm James.
I'm Ralph.
And today we are going to be talking about Elstree 1976, the documentary from a surprising amount of time ago. When I was looking at when this came out, I was shocked that it was so old. Still, in my mind, it's a relatively recent documentary.
When did it come out?
So over here, because it was made by a British filmmaker, and it came out over here. Well, it had like a couple of screenings at least in 2015. And then I think it got a wider release 2016, and then made its way over there in VOD and everything after that.
Because I had told Stevie, I said, "Oh yeah, I watched this before, like I don't know, like 10 years ago."
Oh, really?
So I thought it was.
Okay.
Ago.
You thought it was older. I thought it was newer. It's crazy.
Yeah, I was like, I had seen this before, but I don't remember anything about it.
Yeah.
And then you hadn't seen it before, right?
I hadn't. No, it's one of those documentaries that I sort of had on my list of things to watch for ages. And then as soon as we started doing the show, I was like, cool, I can wait until we're going to get to it. And then I'll start watching it. Funny little story about that. Like since we started the show just over a year ago, I have specifically gone out of my way to not watch any Star Wars movie until we are going to talk about it. Once we've talked about it on the show, like once we've done an episode about it, I've gone back and watched some of those. So I've watched some prequels. I've watched some of the original trilogy again since. But like I wanted that almost like the next initial viewing to be the one that I talk about. But where I've been reading Shadow of the Sith, which you can see just behind me here, I'm about 90% through that book, and it's bringing up so much stuff that's related to Rise of Skywalker that I just had to watch that last night. So I started watching that. I didn't get all the way through, but I was watching that last night, and I was like, "Fuck, I love this movie."
Yeah, me too. Who has it? Who's? Is it me? I think it's me that has it because you took Revenge of the Sith and Return of the Jedi that you didn't want to take all of the final.
I think that was it.
Of the trilogy.
That sounds right.
I love that movie, and I don't care who knows it.
Nope, me neither.
I really don't.
You've got it. I've got the Last Jedi because you didn't want to have Last Jedi, so yeah. Cool. We'll get to the sequel trilogy eventually.
Yeah. Speaking of things that are the opposite of that.
Yeah.
So I popped on the movie and I told Stevie, I said, we've watched this before. We watched it like 10 years ago. And she's like, "Oh, I don't remember." And then like it started and she's like, "Oh yeah, I remember this." And then she proceeded to get up and go read a book in the bedroom.
I've seen it. I don't need to see it again.
Right.
It's kind of how I feel about it. I enjoyed it. Do you not?
No. And what's funny is I'm like, because I was like, I don't remember it. I know I've seen it. Okay. I don't remember much about it, but it'll be fun to revisit.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I watched it and I'm like, But then last night I was thinking about it. And I don't want to be toxic and I don't want to sound like a bully, but why the fuck don't they talk about Elstree Studios in 1976?
They really don't
at all. There's no stories from the set.
I was expecting. I didn't realize it was just going to be the background players. I thought it was going to be about like the making of, but with the little guys, essentially like the crew and things like that.
I knew it was just about the background actors, and I'm like, why aren't they talking about being like, we all wish we could be on set in Star Wars in 1976. We all wish we can be there. I want to hear all the stories. In fact, during one of the interviews, someone says, it might be Jeremy Bullock, says something to the effect of like, yeah, people are always coming up to us and asking us what it was like being on the set. And I'm like, why isn't the documentarian asking them the same questions? Like, it's really bizarre. Like, I don't mind the toy talk. I don't mind the convention talk. I don't mind any of that stuff. But when you're calling your movie Elstree 1976, I want to hear more about that. Yeah. Instead of just, oh, here I am in a shot. Trust me, I was there. But tell me what it was like being in that room, the classroom.
Also, like the trust me, I'm there. And then you've got almost like an unreliable narrator when one of the stormtroopers is like, yeah, I'm the one who hit my head, I think. Like, I definitely hit my head at some point. I don't know if it was in that shot. It's like, he doesn't even really know. He's just claiming it. And it's like, there are a few others who have claimed to be that stormtrooper. Yeah. So, yeah. And especially, like, you read the tagline for this on IMDb, and it's something like, it was the hottest summer in UK record and stuff. Like blah 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 blah. It's like talk more about that. Talk more about what it was like at the time, as opposed to just I was in this thing, didn't really like it.
They talked about going to the casting call.
Yeah,
where in
Soho.
I don't remember. Yeah, Soho. That's right. And no stories from it.
No,
there's no stories that come out of that. Was there other people? Was there?
Did they see anyone? Did they see anyone who then made a bigger role?
It made it sound like that anybody that showed up just got in.
Yeah. And it's like I like hearing those sorts of stories. It's the Wild West of just walking into a Arrow saying casting. Yeah, cool. I'll go try out. I don't even know what this is for. Or even if you had an agent and they said go along to this place down in Soho, like look for the casting thing. It's like, yeah, cool, that's great. But yeah, tell some stories. Who was there? Who was running the casting? Like, it wasn't George for these things, but like, what was the casting director? What sort of notes? What were the sides? Like, what anything? Like, yeah. It's
what did the Greedo costume smell like? What was like? He did mention like his scene. Oh, they lit the thing on fire. It was smoking. I got back in it, and they put some acid on my back. Like, okay, what was that like? Was it exciting? Was it interesting?
I enjoyed the documentary while watching it, but I found it like very dismissible. Like as soon as I was done with it, I was like, cool. I didn't take any notes. I didn't feel like I needed to at any point take any notes.
Right.
And I when I was working at the comic book shop, there was a regular customer of ours who was one of the biggest Star Wars autograph collectors in the country, possibly in the world. He's got everyone, and these are the guys that he knows. Like when they start talking about doing convention appearances and stuff, I would almost guarantee it. I think one guy talks about how someone approached him and said, hey, do you want to come and do a show? We'll pay you 300 quid and then you make all the money from signings and stuff. And he's like, really? I can make money just from that? I was a nobody. That's like a guy that I knew. Like he would have been that guy, and I would put money that it was actually him. I was looking for him in the background whenever you see shots, because it was the London Film and Comic Con, which I know that they've worked at a lot. And it's interesting that it takes those sorts of fans who have a very niche thing. I heard friend of the show Silver on podcast friends of the Force. She was talking about collecting and how everyone has their niche. And yeah, for this guy, it was autographs. It was specifically, and it was everyone. And I've met those people at Celebration and everything. And so they are the people that get these extras back involved. And then it's almost like that's what this documentarian was interested in. And he just found a few who were willing to sit down with him for a couple of hours.
Right.
And he had a few questions for each of them, but that was about it. It didn't feel as deep as it could have been. No. I think this could be done better. Yeah. And but the cool name was already taken for this movie. Yeah. Here, hold on. I'm gonna come over here to the chat just to say hello, because Sarah's here. Lucha John's here. Sarah didn't realize that she had homework until yesterday. So hope you did it, I guess.
No, she didn't.
Okay,
she
fair
didn't
enough.
watch it.
You didn't miss it.
Phil Rodriguez. Hey, everyone hoping to watch Elstree 1976 tonight after work.
Check it out. Yeah, check it out. I encourage everyone to check it out. But like,
here's the thing. I don't know where you watched it, but in the United States, it must be rented for $3.99.
Oh, okay. Oh, boo.
So Sarah told me, she's like, I was like in the middle of watching it, and I sent her a text about it, because there's one part of it where I'm like, this is the only thing that you're going to care about. And so I sent her a picture, and that's Angus McGinnis is in it. Yep. And me and my sister grew up on Strange Brew.
Okay.
And he plays the character Rosie LaRose. He's like he's like, there's the Mackenzie brothers and then him. He's essentially the third Mackenzie brother. So like I sent her that, and I'm like, this is pretty much all you're missing is Angus McGinnis. He seems cool, but at the same time, he stops being cool in it. He kind of becomes an asshole. Like they all sort of become assholes, except Jeremy Bulloch.
I was gonna say the shining light, and it's always been the stories you hear about Jeremy Bulloch. I never had the pleasure of meeting him, but
Right.
it's the stories you always hear. He was a shining light, and he did the convention circuit right. Like he was always there, start to finish, and he was always lovely to people. No one has a bad story about Jeremy Bulloch that I am aware of. And you get that impression with this, definitely.
Well, I mean, you have Angus McGinnis, who's like, my face is in the movie, and Jeremy Bulloch and Kenny Baker, who have buckets over the head, are getting more autographs. And I'm like, I mean, they're more iconic characters, but at the same time, I'm like, the only thing interesting Jeremy Bulloch had to talk about was what kind of pens he has to sign autographs. And even then, even when they talked about him going in for his costume fitting, it wasn't even interesting.
No.
And it kind of shows you how
we've seen that documentary as well. Like there was the Book of Boba Fett, the one before that, the Under the Helmet one. Like that is a better documentary about the Boba Fett costume, and that has some Jeremy Bulloch in there and stuff as well. Like it's like that's the better version of it right there.
Right. Yeah.
He was a lovely guy who just fit the costume and was related to someone on the film, basically.
But I mean, I'm glad he was nice.
Yeah.
You know, because that's pretty much all he was. And I know Angus McGinnis was acting, but still, like, it's Boba Fett. They're not making a Gold Leader movie.
No.
You know.
He came off quite well. Angus McGinnis came off quite well at times. I know what you mean. Like he came off, he seemed pretty cool, and then there were times where he was like, "Oh, dude, like you're quite bitter, aren't you?" Like,
but he calls himself out at least.
Yes.
He calls himself out and he says it's ego. It's my ego, and I know it, and it probably shouldn't be, but it's, you know, we're actors. That's part of us is wanting to be seen. Yeah. So I mean, of everybody in the movie, I've seen Angus McGinnis the most in other stuff.
Yeah, he's just one of those faces who just pops up in the background of lots of things. Unlike the other guy, the extra who was in two roles in the throne room at the end of the movie, the guard, and then the guy who first hands the medal off to Dodonna, who, I mean,
was he judo kicking? Was he?
He was judo kicking. He was Buddhist. He was a karate instructor. Like dude, and he talks about like he's gone through some shit. He's fought out of his own depressions and things like that. Good for him. If this is what makes him happy now, cool, awesome, more power to him.
That was the thing. He was talking about depression, and then they cut to him kicking a tree, and I'm like, hey, I'm glad you found your thing that makes you happy.
Whatever you got to do, yeah. Like, I don't want to yuck on anyone's yum. He seemed like just an odd dude. Like, he's just one of those guys who, you'd be going to these conventions even if you didn't. He was the only one who knew, like, every background character's name. Like, he was a nerdy dude. He was just like us, but... Yeah, he just seemed
he was one of the only ones that didn't seem bitter.
Nope. But everyone was bitter about him because when he started turning up at conventions, they were like, extra.
Oh,
he's not even a named character, he's just an extra. So yeah, that's when like Angus McGinnis was like, yeah, no, I didn't really like it when these guys started turning up.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is those kind of characters show up in books. I don't know if that dude specifically, but
not that I'm aware of, but yeah, it's the sort of thing that like someone takes that. I remember an ad in Star Wars Insider, must have been maybe year 2000 or something, and it was an ad for the TCG, the trading card game that was out at the time, I think, and it was a shot of all the Naboo pilots, and it was one of the like the crowd shots where you see them all. And there was an arrow just pointing to one obscure character. He's like, what's this guy's story? And I think it was a case of like, you could write a short little story about that particular character, name him and everything. And then they would create the trading card and it would be like, that'd be the flavor text on the back. And it's exactly that. It's like, this isn't an important character. He's never going to have any relevance, but a card game or something when they need to just have a name on it, that's who they're going to pull, those sorts of characters.
Right. And then the guy who plays Fixer, like that dude was like, I thought he came off really well because he was just like, it sucks that I got pulled, but you know what? People think it's kind of cooler. I'm more of a thing. Yeah. And then he's like, but also I got to be this stormtrooper. And he was like one of the only ones with the story where he told, like, where he was like, they called me up in the morning. They say, we need you now. I'm like, yeah, sure. They started whisking me out to, they're in the middle of, in Tunisia.
But that's it. Like, they would have had a limited amount of cast in Tunisia. So,
and they're like, as he's walking to the set, they're dressing him in stormtrooper outfit. Like, all of this is like really compelling, interesting stuff about the set. And it doesn't even have to do with Elstree. It's in Tunisia. It's on location. But this is the kind of stuff I want to talk, like, I want to hear about. Like, you can,
my scenes were cut, but actually I'm in a very, very famous scene. I'm probably the most famous stormtrooper in the movie, other than maybe the bonking his head guy, who may or may not be the guy in this documentary.
But the thing about the guy in the documentary was like, oh, here's the thing. I never noticed the stormtrooper bumping his head until 1997. Seeing it on the big screen. And I don't know how many people talked about it before then. I had heard that there was a stormtrooper that hits his head. I had no idea where it was. But in 97 on the big screen, I saw it.
Yeah.
So a lot of time had passed by then, like 20 years. So it's like, this guy probably bumped his head on all kinds of shit. We've seen the goof reels and stuff where the stormtroopers
were sliding around all over the place.
Yeah. So I guarantee you every single stormtrooper hit their head during some scene. And he heard about someone's stormtrooper hitting his head. And he's like, oh yeah, I hit my head a bunch of times, but am I the one? It's like, he might be, he might not be. But the fact is that a lot of people probably bumped their heads and he just didn't know if he was exactly that one, because there's different takes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sure that they all got shuffled around, other than maybe the lead guy. And then it didn't really matter where they were.
I think in the documentary Empire Dreams, it got to the point where they were spending more money on Star Wars just so they could get it done sooner. So they had something like 3 units or 4 units. And I guarantee you, like, they were shuffling around stormtroopers every which way.
Well, and even in this, some of the background stormtroopers were saying, like, it was hot in those helmets. We were just off to the side, like, taking a break, and they'd start calling for stormtroopers, and we'd be reluctant to get up and jump in. Like, it would be a case of, okay. Oh, this guy's there. Okay, you don't need any more. Great. So it's a case of, well, were you just one of the ones who put your helmet on faster, or were you just off to the side smoking? Like, who knows?
Like, the way it sounds this movie was made it was on a time crunch, and they were just trying to get shit done. There's the scene from Star Wars The Jedi where the mic is in picture and they're all fucking around, and George Lucas just looks like, fuck, we got to get going.
Done. Yeah.
And listening to Angus McGinnis talk about, all right, your turn, hop in the cockpit and, like, say your lines.
Yeah.
And
don't act, just read your lines.
Yeah. And so
I felt bad for him.
I felt bad, but at the same time, it sounds like it's part of that time crunch. It sounds like we've got like 5 guys sitting here waiting to jump in this one cockpit we built, and we need to just get this shit shot and done.
Yeah. And we don't have time to have a back and forth and do multiple takes of this. Like, what you see is what you get. And he makes it work. I would never have known. Like, you see him looking down, but that's him looking down at, I've always thought that's him looking down at his console or his ship. He's turning on his targeting computer and all of that. Like, but so it works with him looking down at his knees to get his next line. And it's one of those also, he's like, I knew all my lines, but from the feed, the back and forth.
Yeah.
So it was almost like he just needed, and I'm sure as soon as he saw like the first line or the first word of a line, he'd be like, okay, cool, I got this. I just needed it fed to me.
Right.
Yeah.
He seemed very disgruntled about that. I don't think we get any cockpit stuff from, I forget his name.
Biggs?
Derek, Biggs.
Yeah, Garrick something or other. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It sounds like a Star Wars name on its own. Like, but yeah, it's definitely Garrick. Yeah.
Right. I don't really know if we get anything from the Tunisia scene with him or even the big stuff with him.
He
says Biggs.
He talks about how he was in Tunisia and he filmed that scene with Luke and everything, and how when that got cut, like there is a brief mention of it, but and how he enjoyed like having the cape and those sorts of things, but not
it's the best
massive.
outfit in Star Wars.
It's great.
It's my favorite. It's my
but
favorite.
There's no conversation between him and the guy who played Fixer. You know,
or a common story between them.
Exactly.
Like if you can't get together, you think
do
they
a
would
back
have
and forth. Ask the same questions to both about those scenes. Like that's just interviewing. Yeah. Another guy, this guy right here, who I did meet once, David Prowse. We've all known the stories.
He seems to be the only one to know. The only one that doesn't know why he's sort of booted from Lucasfilm sanctioned events.
Dude, we all know why. Like,
for some reason. And it's 2015 and he's still saying it. I don't know. You have to ask George Lucas. Like, George Lucas fucking doesn't own Star Wars. Who cares?
Yeah.
But have you seen the David Prowse documentary? I know there's one, and I don't know if I could take a full documentary.
I couldn't. I've met him. He was a pleasant enough guy. That would have been. I don't know.
I gotta hand it to him though. I gotta hand it to him though. Him getting like seemingly disgruntled about doing the performance, saying every bit of dialogue, and
being cut,
and then not being able for them to afford shipping him to Hollywood. But his reverence for James Earl Jones was very refreshing. I was like, "Oh shit, you better not!" Like the fact that he said they couldn't get me there. Like there's different ways of like saying it with the inflection of your voice to not sound like an asshole. Yeah. But the whole time he sounded like an asshole that I thought he was gonna shit on James Earl Jones, and I'm like, "There's no way you can shit on James Earl Jones," and he doesn't. Which I was like, "You fucking."
He just leaves it.
Yeah.
But he almost fobs off James Earl Jones as just a voice actor. Right. Almost. It's very close, but it's like, dude.
I'm glad. Also, I'm glad they went back.
You weren't in half of those shots as Darth Vader. Like your stunt performer was in there. Like, sure, you did some training with Alec Guinness and everything, but like the fight was not you. Like a lot of it was not you. You were in some of those dialogue scenes. That was it. You were the credited actor. All credit to you, but come on, like chill out. They brought you back for 2 more movies that they really didn't need to for that role. Like you could put in anyone. Like,
they didn't bring him back for Revenge of the Sith. He was around for that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he really would have been able to do much then.
Right.
But yeah, this autograph was before he started signing it the real Darth Vader or I'm Darth Vader. But like that's been a known thing for many years that he's done, and it's like just be grateful. Like I don't know, it's hard to say. Yeah, be Jeremy Bulloch. Just be cool. Like go do the conventions and everything, and then you're good. It was interesting hearing him talk about wanting to get into the best shape of his life, age 80. I don't know if he did. I good for him that he had that goal. That's awesome. He did pass away when he was 85, which is sad. But hey, hopefully he had a good last few years.
Right.
I think he definitely had some health problems over the years. I mean, obviously from a young age he'd had some health problems, but yeah.
Someone in the comments let us know if the David Prowse documentary is worth it, or if it's just going to be like an hour and a half of this.
Yeah, because this is everything that we've seen of David Prowse. Like we've seen this many times. We all know what he's like. We know that he's a little bit like a bit butthurt, basically, about being cut out and somewhat replaced. But also, dude, you can't have that accent. Like you can't have that accent and be threatening.
Right.
It just doesn't work.
But, I mean. To you know, like to his credit, like in Star Wars 1977, James Earl Jones does keep the sort of same inflection, and reads very similar.
He does the
Darth
performance,
Vader. Yeah. So it the way the lines are spoken are pretty similar, because Darth Vader at the beginning of A New Hope doesn't sound like any other Darth Vader.
No, the commander tear the ship apart and like
that doesn't sound
whole
like
thing. No, it doesn't.
No.
It's way more high pitched, like than what you'd expect for Darth Vader.
And less controlled, like more angry. Actually sounds more like Anakin then.
And it fits from where like Rogue One leads into that. So
yeah. I guess it works. I mean, this is Star Wars fans trying to shoehorn shit in to make it work right. But
we've been doing it for 45 years.
But it's I'm currently working on a project, and I don't really want to get into it that deep, and hopefully nobody in the chat brings it up. But watching this made me learn a lot.
Interesting. That's good.
On how to approach what I'm working on, because we've seen documentaries, and you all know how documentaries go, but there's a certain sort of way these things go, and I've never really seen a documentary where I'm like, they just got it wrong. And I feel like this one kind of got it wrong.
There, you could have asked some better questions. It's almost like if you could go back again and get them all again, you could make something much better.
Scott D is in Disney World right now. And Scott, if you are you in actual Batuu? I don't know if Disney World's a big place. I doubt it is.
Scott, I hope you're in line and not like wasting your Disneyland day watching us. Like if you're in line for something, great, cool. I'm glad that you're on. Tell the people behind you to subscribe. I
almost wanna send him the show link just for him to prove it.
Cool. Do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Just do a little bit. Do a little bit of vamping while I do this.
Okay. So yeah, you were talking about interviews and having a better shot of it. Other friend of the show, not really a Star Wars fan, but he's done podcasts with me in the past, Mitchell, and he went back to university as an adult and did a whole journalism degree, and he literally just graduated last week. So congrats to Mitchell. A lot of his like dissertation and everything was based around pro wrestling. So he interviewed a lot of independent pro wrestlers around the UK, and watching his progression over like 3 or 4 years that he was doing his degree, from like his first interviews to the ones that he did like last year for his final project, like the difference is vast, and it's cool seeing that progression. I've watched him grow as an interviewer. So yeah, seeing this where like, you can get better. You can get these guys much better.
Right. And listen, here's the thing, like where we started on this show, live action Star Wars, we were doing pre-tape stuff.
Oh yeah. We've got that.
We were a little rocky. I did a lot of editing stuff, and then we decided to start doing them live.
Yep.
And I think if you go back and listen to watch our early live shows, it's a little sketchy.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I just like where we are now, where we're pretty comfortable. And now you're doing live shows on your own. I'm doing live shows on my own, which are the toughest things to do, is talking to a camera. It's gnarly, but you kind of start getting used to it. My other show, Cue the Music, is just all me. And I'm just like, I dread it every time, but I'm starting to get used to it. Once you get over the initial like introduction, you sort of reach this conversational cadence where you're able to just like talk to people.
Yeah. It is so much easier when you've got someone to bounce off of, because you can take a break. You can, you're planning what you're going to say next, even if you're not doing it consciously. Like you can be thinking about it, or you're bouncing off of the other person. Yeah. I know with the stuff that I've done on my own, like I've had a tendency to sort of almost like fall into like sidetracks where I'll be talking about a particular thing, and then I'll fall into a sidetrack because something has triggered a thought about that, and then it's looping back around. It's structuring it all, but we're doing it and we're having fun doing it. But this is why I love doing this with you, because we can just have that conversation.
And I think that this is helping me with the project I'm working on.
Yeah,
because this is something that I've never done before. I've never, and I'll just say it, I'm producing a documentary. I've never done this before, and I am like, how do you even start? because the director is busy working on something else, and I have time to sort of start getting this thing going. And as soon as I started reaching out to people to be interviewees, I'm like, oh, I know a lot of people for this. And
you've been involved in it for a while.
And I'm like, and then nobody has said no to me yet.
Awesome.
And I have a pretty insane list of people, and I'm just like, oh, it's like podcasting. We've had guests on the show.
Yeah.
Like, I never met Riley Silverman before she came on. I never met Silver from Star Wars Thrifting before she came on. Like, a lot of our guests are people that we like
blind
from the
message,
Star Wars community.
basically. Yeah, we blind message a lot of people, and some people don't get back to us at all. Some people, there's a scheduling conflict, but 90% of the time, like, if someone gets back to us, like, they're cool, and it's just how you approach people, I think. And you say you've not produced a documentary before, but dude, you've been producing for nearly 20 years. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. You're very, very well suited.
And that's what I found was doing this. I'm like, oh, I can totally do this. And it's weird being a movie producer. I've never said this publicly. This has not been announced, and I feel weird talking about it in this public space, but hopefully within the next couple months it'll be announced, and I'll be able to share everything I need to share. But like, I feel like this a little bit of an imposter syndrome, but as I start actually doing the work, I start feeling like, no, I got this. And then watching this documentary, I'm like, oh, I definitely got this.
Yeah,
I definitely got this, because what I'm after and what I've brought to the table and what the director has like said, oh, this is a good angle to do this documentary we're working on. I'm like, this Elstree 1976 had the perfect angle and didn't deliver on it. And I'm like,
it's a very similar sort of documentary,
but
like not exactly the same, but similar sort of tone, I can imagine, from what you've said to me. But okay.
Yeah. And it's this might have been the perfect thing to watch for me personally. Maybe not so much for live action Star Wars. As far as what we're interested in, if it went in, if we knew going into it, if it wasn't called Elstree 1976, if it was called like Convention Wars or like
extras, but not the Ricky Gervais one.
But still, I would love to see a documentary with like every extra from Star Wars across the galaxy. And you know what? The director of the documentary I'm working on is a huge Star Wars fan, and I might just say, hey, listen, like, we can do this better. We can do this way better. Let's get like
that's hunting
speaking
down
role people. Let's go across all three trilogies.
I was gonna say, like, for the original trilogy, you're gonna have to sort of start putting the foot down on that one, because they're getting older.
What's it like working for George Lucas in 1977, 1997, and J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson? Like, it's all different people. So I mean, listen, I hate being the guy that like says that watches a Marvel thing and jumps online and says they should do this. It should have been like this. And it's like, no, let the filmmakers do their thing. And the filmmaker did their thing, and that's fine. I'm not saying make this one better, but I'm definitely saying they didn't deliver on the promise of Elstree 1976.
No, there's a documentary here, fine, but the title and the subject matter don't really match up very well. Stevie just joined us. She's just joined us. How did I fare in the heat yesterday? So yesterday, for those who don't know, was the hottest day in recorded history in the UK. For the first time ever, we hit 40 degrees. I think it got up to 40.5 Celsius, that is. So that's about 104, I think I was looking up. So yeah, it's up there. So I personally, I was okay. I stayed inside.
You just came from Texas.
Exactly. I just came from Texas, where I actually snuck in like that 1 week where it wasn't over 100 every day. But I've been in those heats before. I've I've been to places where it was hot, so I was okay. I just was downstairs. I had curtains closed. I had fans blowing. I was trying to keep the dog cold with like wet cloth all day because she's not used to it. And then I went to work where we've got some good aircon, and it was okay. But yeah, today it's a bit cooler. It's nice. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, we get the news about your weather over here. It's said over here that it's so crazy. Stevie's been sort of monitoring it because we have in our phones, the weather app. You could save cities, and so she still has Dublin for when we visited 3 years ago.
I've still got Austin. I've still got Honolulu. Like I've got places that I've been. Yeah.
So she saw that in Dublin there was like heat warnings.
Oh yeah, there has been
crazy heat warnings.
Yeah.
And so she went and she looked to see how hot it was, and it was 86 degrees. And I was like, that's like December for us, like a weekday in December. Like I was like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine a world where
that is a heat warning.
That is the heat warning, and then having to deal with 104.
Me, Ed and I were saying this because we came back from Texas a couple of weeks ago now, and the weather has been hot here since we got back. They'd had some rain, they'd had some storms and stuff. It had been warming up, but it's been legitimately hot since we got back. And I was like, dude, I think we're Crowded House and we brought the weather with us. And he, as someone who he burnt in Texas, he wasn't used to the heat. He didn't do as well. He's a much bigger guy. He was saying, he was like, yeah, the only difference is out there, they're used to it. They have the infrastructure for it. Over here, even when it's 10 degrees colder, we feel it a lot more because we're just not prepared for it. We don't have it. Nowhere has aircon. No houses have aircon over here. So the best we can do is to chuck some rotary fans on or whatever. And like walking down the street, there's nowhere that has like misters or sprinklers or anything like that. Like, so people are just burning up. And I mean, yeah, I
don't think we do either, but that sounds like maybe it was a Texas thing.
I mean, yeah, like I was specifically walking down South Congress where like every bar and restaurant has like misters, but it's more of a theme park thing, I think, over there. I've been to the San Diego Wildlife Park. They're everywhere.
Oh, speaking of San Diego, if anybody watching this live, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be in San Diego tomorrow only.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be at the Lost Fans Unite panel at 12 noon at the library, at the San Diego Public Library. There's a theater. If you don't have a badge, if you're in the San Diego area, show up, talk to me. I'll be out front.
Awesome.
I usually go in without a badge. It's off site and it's a big venue and it's not going to fill up.
It's not an official part of San Diego Comic-Con. It's just another event.
No, it's official.
Okay.
It's just like an overflow room.
Cool. Wow, that's how long. Like I've tracked Comic-Con. Like the only time I was there was 2009, and they were 2010. I think was the first year that they overflowed into one of the hotels. But yeah, I mean it's been growing and growing ever since. But yeah, I think I was there the last year that everything was contained in the convention center.
Speaking of which, Michael Giacchino is moderating a panel about film scores on Thursday, but it's at 11. So it's right before my panel. But I found out he is off site as well at the Bayfront, which is a 9-minute walk from the library. So I'm going to be able to hit about at least half of that.
Nice.
Panel.
That'd be cool.
So I'm excited. And then Mondo released fucking Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2 San Diego exclusive that's being sold on Thursday.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm like, oh, perfect. Had to put my name in the lottery. Didn't get it.
Boo. Is it going to be worth? Is it going to be worth just rocking up and seeing if they have any? Just in case.
100%. But I have a friend who I just mentioned who may know a guy or two at Mondo, and he may or may not have a dinner with that person tonight, and may or may not ask to get me one.
Nice.
so follow
It'd be very
my
nice
other
of
show.
that person. It'd be very nice of that person if that worked out.
Right.
I can't think of anyone who deserves it more based on the collection and the shows and stuff that you do.
I mean, my record collection is getting so big that I had to clear up some space on my IKEA cube.
I was going to say,
so I just put all my Godzilla.
I was going to say, I can see the box set back there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's a good looking box set. While we're talking about conventions, because I think we're pretty much wrapped up with Elstree 76 at this point. While we're talking about conventions, so I didn't realize until so the day before I left for Austin, my girlfriend had just got back from Glastonbury Music Festival, and I was going to Austin the next day. So we just had a day together where I wasn't online at all, basically, for that entire day.
Right.
That was when they announced when the celebration tickets were going to be going on sale for next year. So I missed it completely. By the way, yeah, go on.
No fault of your own. I'm online every single day, like pretty much anytime I'm awake. I didn't know they went on sale.
No, it was just, it felt, I mean, people that got them obviously didn't think this, but for me it felt like such a quiet announcement and drop, like, of when, and it was like 48 hours later, not even 48 hours later, I think. So if I'd known about that, I would have been able to arrange something for someone to get them while I was in the air, because they went on sale while I was traveling. I was in the air. I had a long couple of connections and stuff to get out to Texas, so I didn't have any internet. I couldn't get tickets and didn't even realize I might have been able to get them when I got there, but I had no idea. So weekend badges sold out. Friday badges sold out. Friday, it's actually on my birthday is when the convention starts next year. So I've got the whole week off for it. I've got a hotel room reserved. I haven't paid for anything, but I had the hotel room reserved in London. I was going to make a whole week of it. It was going to be great. Friday badges sold out. Saturday badges sold out. Sunday badges sold out. And they're doing it Friday to Monday because it's a bank holiday over here. It's Easter weekend. I thought about it and I was really, really bummed out that I'd missed all of that. But I was like, they might do a resale, but I'm going to get a Monday badge just in case I can't get a weekend badge later on. So at the moment, as it stands, I'm going to be at Star Wars Celebration in London on just the Monday, the last day of the show.
There's got to be a way to get in there. I feel like
if anyone knows, please send me a message either on Live Action Star Wars Twitter or at HEWLETT. It's just there. Send me a message. Let me know. I want to pay for a badge. I want to go. I will still be applying for us to have a live podcast if they do a podcast stage. I don't know what they're going to do. This sold out really quick, and the XL Centre in London is a lot bigger than anyone uses. So it's no San Diego Convention Center or anything, but there is more room for them to expand in the XL Center. So if it's sold out really quick and they're like, oh crap, this sold out and we weren't expecting it, we can go bigger. Or hey, we've actually got a Taika Waititi movie to promote, we can go bigger. They might, and then they might do a second like release of tickets, at which point I will be getting a weekend badge. I'll be there the whole time, and my Monday badge it's already taken care of if that happens. If not, I'll be there on the Monday. I might go up Sunday night. I don't know yet. I will definitely be there on the Monday. I'm going to have things to give away. I had things, whether or not we ended up having a live podcast. I've got an idea of anyone that comes up to me, anyone who finds me, I'm going to have things to give away. So I'm going to still be doing that. I'll definitely have Live Action Star Wars t-shirt on at the time. But yeah, anyone
I need
who
to
comes
get you those.
Me, yes, we'll have that sorted by then. It's okay. You've been busy. And yeah, so there's going to be things going on. If we can't do a live show, I'll definitely do some sort of meet up at a bar. And we'll go, we'll have fun, we'll have drinks. That's for anyone who's going. Obviously you guys didn't get tickets either. You're not going to fly over just for a Monday, because why would you do that? That would just be a waste.
And then the thing is also we knew ahead of time. Like we got the sort of early bird thing. So people who got tickets the last celebration got a notification that we can get early tickets. Like I think it was like 3 weeks ago or something. But I'm like, it's too soon. It's too soon.
Well, that's the problem.
And I might be out shooting then. I don't know.
So quite possible.
So I didn't think anything of it, but still, like, I didn't see a single thing. Usually when you go on Twitter and stuff, people are like, I got my tickets.
Yeah.
Tickets are on sale, but I didn't see any of that stuff.
I mean, I would guess that a lot of those tickets sold out to the early birds. A lot of the weekend passes. Also, I think it's going to be quite a lot smaller. Like the London show that I went to, I've done 2 in the States. That was 3 and 4. I did Celebration 3 and 4. And then I did the last London one, which was 2016, the Rogue One promo year. So, and it's considerably smaller. So I don't mind going just for the day. The only reason I was going to do the whole weekend is because it's, relatively so close for me.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's Star Wars.
Exactly. And I don't have anything else going on at that time, so I can do that. But we'll see. I still got the time off, so if anyone is flying over and wants to hang out that week, please let me know. I would love to see all of you.
I feel like 2024 usually comes back to the States. Yeah. Wherever it ends up, whether it's Chicago or
I think a lot of people are expecting it to be back in Orlando.
So we'll try to make that work.
Definitely. I'm gonna do everything that in my power to be at that one. I said
I've never been to Florida.
Have you not? I haven't since I was 3 years old. So
and Scott did not. I think he's too busy.
Fair.
I think
hopefully he was in line and now he's on Rise of the Resistance or something.
Oh man, that's such a great ride.
That's the reason that I would happily go to either coast. At this point, as much as Florida doesn't really interest me, but I would go to a convention there and tack it onto Disney and do Batuu and stuff like that. So
yeah, I feel like we would do a week in Florida leading up to the convention or after the convention.
We'd work it all out so that we could make a whole thing of it and we'd do stuff.
But that's 2 years away.
Yeah, exactly. We've got plenty of things to go over before then.
That's all assuming we don't get in a big, massive fight and kill the show. And I think
or breaks us. That'll be it. It's over.
So let's talk about next week.
Yes.
Because there's some things in the air. There's a couple of things floating around. We don't know. This is what's going to happen. We want to cover Light and Magic, all 6 episodes.
Yeah.
We don't know when these episodes drop other than at least one on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long it's going to be. Each part is going to be. And I don't necessarily feel like I need to get up at 5:30 in the morning and watch Light and Magic to cover it at 7:30 in the morning.
No.
So what we're going to do is we're going to show up. Next week's episode is going to be a regular episode covering Light and Magic Part 1.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on Thursday at the same time. That's right. Okay. Now, if they all drop on Wednesday, we will continue to cover them week by week, but on Wednesdays. Because if I could watch it Tuesday
you can watch
night,
them in your own time. So in 2 weeks' time, for instance, I'm looking at my schedule, and this is stuff that you and I can work out behind the scenes. But for the next 2 weeks, not next week, but the 2 weeks after that, I'm not at work on the Wednesday, so we can do it later. So you won't need to get up at stupid o'clock to watch that, but we can still stick to the Wednesday. But
best case or best thing to do, hit the bell icon, visit liveactionstarwars.com, and you'll see when the next live episode is happening so that you can prepare to watch it by then. I kind of hope they all drop at once and we just spend the next 6 weeks covering them on Wednesdays. There's a weird... The reason why I think they might drop more than one on Wednesday is because it overlaps with Andor. The last episode of ILM is the same day as the first episode of Andor, and that seems interesting.
They also seem to be dropping their documentary stuff. A lot of that drops all at once. They don't seem to do week to week with that. Right.
And also, maybe they might be doing the Obi-Wan route and dropping the first 2.
Yeah.
And that definitely, I would wait till Thursday for that.
I would also expect to get an Obi-Wan behind the scenes somewhere before Andor. Before Andor drops, we would get that usually.
The the best thing to do is hit the bell icon. It'll notify you when we're going live, and you'll see it. Just go to liveactionstarwars.com. There's a place that says upcoming live streams. It'll tell you exactly when we're going live and how much time you have to watch this stuff, so you can hang out in the chat.
We might have some episodes where we talk about Light and Magic for a bit, and then the Obi-Wan behind the scenes. Like we've done enough of those behind the scenes documentaries at this point now that we kind of know the formula that they're going to take. We think. Like I was surprised by the Doctor Strange one because they had Bruce Campbell sort of narrating it, so it felt like a different thing.
Oh,
to
really?
The other. Yeah.
Oh, I need to watch it.
It felt like a different sort of Avengers Assemble documentary than the other ones.
Okay, I need to watch that.
You never know. They might have something a bit different for the Obi-Wan one. But there might be a bit of talk about that as well as a Light and Magic episode. We might talk about a Light and Magic episode and the Lego Christmas holiday special, like the summer vacation special with just a bit of it. So they're gonna be episodes about Light and Magic, but there might be some other bits and bobs in there. So yeah, I think
they might go similar to this episode.
Probably, where
depending on how much we want to talk about the thing we want to talk about, but
exactly. So they'll be a little bit looser than our like a regular.
It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid regular episode / data link.
Yeah,
essentially is what you're getting.
It's summer school. It's summer.
I can't wait.
It's
because
live action summer school.
Yeah, what I saw at the panel for Light and Magic was super fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude! And listening to those guys talk, Phil Tippett is the best curmudgeon ever.
These are the guys. He
feels like Angus McGinnis, but still appreciates and loves the work. He told a story at the panel, this whole long story at the panel, and interspersed throughout the panel they show clips from the documentary.
Awesome.
And the clip they played right after was that whole long story all over again. And when it popped back, Phil Tippett popped up. It's like, I'm so sorry, guys. I said, he's like, I didn't know they were going to show this clip. I don't remember telling this story. Apparently, I tell it a lot. It was about a tauntaun. So when you hear the tauntaun story, it's so hilarious.
I met Phil Tippett at the top of an escalator once. That would have been at Celebration 3 in Indianapolis. And yeah, I was at the bottom of an escalator. I looked up and I was like, that's Phil Tippett. And so like 21-year-old me just rides up this, or maybe not even, I think I was 21, just rides up this escalator and I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Tippett, I just wanted to say thanks. And he was so cool, so chill, such a nice guy. And he was just hanging out, just like leaning on the railing, just like looking out and just watching the crowds. No one was going up to him.
Because he seems scary.
Yeah,
he seems intimidating.
He's quite a tall guy. Yeah,
and he's got a pretty intense. You'll see in the documentary, he's very no nonsense.
Yeah,
but he just seems like the coolest dude. I need to see his movie. I don't have Shudder, but I need to see his Mad God, I believe it's called. It's like a stop motion movie he's been making for like 17 years. It just came out like a month ago, and it looks like a Clive Barker nightmare.
Oh,
and
wow!
I'm like, I kind of just need to see it. I need to see if it's available for like a rent or purchase somewhere.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't have Shudder. I'm not a horror fan.
No.
So anyway, Phil Tippett. I'm excited for that.
So that's coming next week. That'll be on next Thursday. But yeah, as Ralph said, subscribe and hit the bell. I know everyone says to hit the bell, but it actually is relevant in this case. Don't know when. Possibly before that, there's going to be a bonus episode. As I said, I'm finishing up this book.
You can do it.
There it is. Finishing up this book. I'll probably finish that tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow night. And then I'm going to try and arrange with Adam Fraser when we can have a chat about that. But that'll be coming very soon.
I'm excited about that. And I don't care about spoilers. I just want to hear what happened in the book.
The book's been out for a little while now. I'm actually behind the curve on this one. Normally I'm on it and I get my reviews out quick. I'm not doing a review for this one because everyone else has done one already. There's no point. But it's a fascinating book and there's a lot to talk about. So me and Adam we'll just sit down and we'll have a chat about that. But that'll be coming within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, as a bonus.
And then, I mean, we have 6 weeks of Light and Magic coming up. We have 12 weeks of Andor.
Yeah.
So
it takes us into November, I believe. Yeah, you've got the next pick sometime.
And I'll save it for then. Because I think I think it's the problem is I think I know what I want to pick for after Andor, but there's a second season of Andor, so that pick should probably wait till after that one.
Yeah,
so
and we don't really have a timeline. I mean, they've shot or are shooting Andor season 2 already, so who knows? But yeah, I mean, I think everyone can probably guess what that would be, but we'll see.
Yeah,
down the line sometime is coming.
All right, we bullshit for too long.
let's wrap this one up. Elstree 76 is a documentary. You can watch it if you want.
Hey, if you're into the convention scene and what it's like to be part of that, I think this is for you.
And there's a few of these people. There's a few people in this that you're not going to be able to see anymore. So it's nice just to see those guys one more time.
Right. Good.
Cool. Until next week, don't give in to hate.
Celebrate the love.
Punch it.